All right, Sam, you can start. Sam, you're muted.
No, I'm not.
Now you're not.
Fuzzy. Anyway, back to what I was saying. We here for an episode of Lit and Late, and like the post says, we are late, but we're gonna keep it rolling. We're here to preview the newest book from Triangles Publishing. Charmaine, go ahead and tell us about the book.
Hi, everybody. So, my name is Charmaine Wilcox, and I am the CEO and lead publisher over at Triangles Productions and Publishing. And tonight we are going to be going over my new fantasy book called Blood and Oath. It is a spinoff of the Echelon Omega Key of Ivy series that you guys might have seen around. So, I actually brought a few guests up here this week, and they have been able to read the first three chapters, and we're kind of going to start from there.
All right, so I'm gonna start off by reading just a little excerpt from the book. Is in chapter 2. The sigil carved into its surface was ancient, older than the Echelon Order itself, the twisted emblem of the Nocturna. A low creek surrounded behind her. She spun, heart hammering. The trees had shifted, their trunks warped, bark peeling away in ragged strips like flesh flayed. Shadows pulled unnaturally at their bases, stretching toward her in slow, deliberate movements. Then the ground beneath her groaned. A skeletal hand burst from the dirt. Fingers curled in a death grip, as if clawing for life. Alexa staggered back, bile rising in her throat. But it wasn't just one hand. More broke through. More broke through the earth. Twisted remains of warriors long forgotten, their bodies reaching for the living. Their hearts killed their enemies. They kept them.
Sam?
So again, that was just a little excerpt from the book, straight from the book. Hello. Hear me? Can you hear me?
You're going in and out. Your audio is in and out. It's kind of shaky.
Uh, can you hear me now?
A little bit. Yes, that's better.
All right. So now I'm just gonna have everyone, all of our lovely guests, introduce themselves. Starting with Katie.
Hi, my name's Katie. I'm one of the people that got to read the book early. Well, read a snippet of it early. Sherry, how much in depth do you want me to introduce myself?
You can just say, who you are and other Triangles books that you've read or enjoyed, and that's it. You don't have to go too crazy.
Okay, so I've brain just completely stopped working. I'm sorry. It is almost past my bedtime, but we're here. The Key of Ivy series I've read, at least in part. And then Blood and Oath is the one that it's like I'm going to get to see the most of, at least recently. Because I read I read the last book like last year, so it's been a little bit of time. But yeah, I feel like I just rambled. Sorry, my bad.
No, you're good. Indy, you can introduce yourself next.
Did you guys see that? I'm an author, speaker, life coach, finance professional, and I was able to read chapters 1 through 3 of this wonderful book. I was telling Shar that it was a challenge for me because I am not into like real fantasy type stuff, because everything that I read and everything that I do is pretty much real life stuff. But it's a really good book so far. So, I like what I've read so far.
All right, and AJ, go ahead and introduce yourself.
All right. Good evening, everybody. My name's Aaron. People know me as AJ. And I was able to read the first 3 chapters of this amazing book that Shari has created. Um, I had to get back into my fantasy bag with this one, back into the elder days, which means that it's an amazing book. It takes me to that Lord of the Rings type of vibe, which I can already tell it's going to be great when she finishes it completely. But yeah.
Oh, thank you guys.
Right. Thank you, everyone. We're just gonna briefly, introduce the main characters of the first 3 chapters. We have, of course, the main character, Elias, and powerful character. Really trying to figure out what's going on with her own self. She's going through
Hey, Sam.
self discovery.
Sam, you're kind of going in and out. So if you mute yourself, I'll do the character introduction while you kind of figure out your audio.
For sure.
All right. So just a real quick introduction of our characters. First up, we have Malik. He is the leader of the Nocturna. He is, of course, royalty and cursed, but very, very powerful. And then our next main character in this book is Athena. This character is my character. I actually created her based on me. And a lot of the characters in my books, you guys will see that are actually based upon people in my life and people that I actually care about or I've interacted with. And then we have Electra. Electra is the main heroine of this story. She's actually based off my older sister. And I'm having a lot of fun creating kind of her growth, like showcasing her growth as a person with this story. And then finally, we are going to have the wonderful and exciting and very, I don't want to say too much and then give it away, but the Oblivion. He's a character I actually introduced in The Key of the Ivy, and he's a very, very important character. And you'll see him a lot throughout the entire Echelon series, even the spinoffs. So I'm gonna turn this over to the viewers next. So that's gonna be Katie, Indy, AJ, Sam. I want you guys to take turns sharing who you identify with the most and who do you think will betray who. So I'm gonna actually start with Indy.
I identify myself with Electra because she's powerful, mysterious. She is witty and serious. And in the story, in the book, from what I read, it's like she really didn't understand her power. But yeah, she knows she's powerful. She just doesn't know the capacity of her power. And so I identify with her. It's too early for me to say who's going to betray who right now. And I don't want to take a guess because I don't want to be wrong.
Okay. All right. We're going to go over to Sam. You got to unmute yourself, Sam.
I understand that. I think Athena, the fact that she's the older sister of the main character and she has to be forced into this, able to because of their situation, being kidnapped. So having to, step in and take over and be that like head of household, that's who I identify with the most. And I feel like everyone's going to betray everybody. Ain't nobody, can't trust nobody. Election going to betray, Athena going to betray, Electra, I don't trust nobody.
All right, Sam, go ahead and mute yourself. And Katie, you're next. Who do you identify with and who do you think will betray who?
Definitely identify with Electra most as well, mostly because of that aspect of her that she's like still really figuring it out. And like as a character, you can tell that you've only met like tip of the iceberg of the details and really the identity of this character, that especially if you've read some of Keys of Ivy, then you have like a snippet of an idea in your head already of like who Electra is. And this book already seems like it's going to turn that a little bit in a way that you weren't expecting. So just because of learning a lot more about her.
Okay. AJ, it's your turn.
So I definitely have to say Malik. He's got that I don't want to say evil thing going on, but that he's sure of himself, he's sly. It's hard to get one over on him. I just think him as a character, he's going to do something very interesting reading ahead. And as far as who's going to turn on who first, everybody, I think everything is pointing to Malik turning, but I feel like we're going to see a character that you least expected. I think that's kind of where your mind is going when I'm reading this. So we'll see.
Okay. All right. So as you guys read the first 3 chapters, one thing I did introduce was speculation on Electra's true lineage. Since Electra is based off my older sister, she technically is my half sister. So I introduced this concept of her having a lineage that we know nothing about. So based on what you guys read, do you think that she's truly all echelon order by blood, which means essentially she's a witch? Or do you think that she is part Nocturna or part something totally different? And I'll let whoever wants to go first answer that question.
I'm going to say definitely part Nocturna.
I was going to say I think she's a witch.
No, she is a witch. That's not in doubt. She's 100%. She is a witch. But do you think that somewhere in her bloodline, there's more than just her being a witch?
Could be, because I think in the book,
she's a full witch.
You were saying that story, they were thinking that she could be part of them too. So I think so.
Sam, what were you saying?
I don't think she is nocturnal. I think she's a full witch, but she's been corrupted somehow. Like in blood.
Okay.
And that's the reason why her parents got kidnapped.
AJ?
So I think she is nocturnal, but I also think she also has, like, there's more than meets the eye. So as we read, we're either going to discover something secret about her bloodline, a mixed ancestor, who knows?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. And last little question in this section is, do you think Malik has real intentions when he goes to Elektra and offers her the deal in chapter 3? Or do you think that he has something else up his sleeve?
Definitely something up his sleeve because they started off fighting. So, yeah.
Most definitely. Ulterior motives.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that's fair. One thing for sure, in the Triangles book, motives are never clear for any character.
Dude, I think he's confused.
Okay.
Like, I don't think he personally knows what is going on yet. He's trying to figure it out. Like, he has his own. He has a goal in mind, but I don't think he knows how to obtain it yet. And so he's just kind of like sticking around to figure it out.
Okay.
I think everything Malik does is going to be with the benefit of him in mind. He's not going to do anything just to, out of the goodness, shall we say.
Because is anybody truly all good?
There you go.
Okay. All right. Well, let's play a little game called Would You Survive? So, the first scenario is you are cornered by a Nocturna assassin in Ashwood. What would be your first move, Indy? And this is a fantasy world, so you could have powers. You could do whatever you want.
Okay, you have powers. Okay, yeah, because you already know I have trouble with my imagination when it comes to
know.
I probably just poof and disappear.
Okay. I feel it. Sam, what you doing?
I'm out here. So if I'm cornered by a single man, I don't have to get. Because if I'm cornered, I know where he's coming from. So if he's coming towards me, it's a one-on-one. As if I don't know where he is. It's in the middle of a forest in a field where he just pop out there. That's what I'm just like. I'm like, I gotta stretch. See if I can get a water. He ain't messing with me.
Sam's audio is just terrible. I'm sorry.
If you can't get behind me, I'm good.
Sam, I love you so much, but we cannot hear you. Your audio is we love you.
Right. I blame you.
Can we repeat the question one more time?
You said what?
The audio threw me off.
I know.
Can we repeat the question one more time?
Yes, you're cornered by a Nocturna assassin in Ashwood. What's your first move?
I feel like poof and disappear is such a good option. And I have to remember that I could have powers.
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily have to be Katie, because if I'm Katie, I'm for sure poofing and disappearing.
Okay. AJ, what you doing, bro?
I feel like if you encounter one of them, it's a game of cat and mouse. So, with me having powers in this fantasy world as well, you know, it's like either okay, we're gonna keep on playing this game, or I'm gonna strike a deal with you, you know. And I think that aids to the whole who's gonna betray who first. That's kind of where my mind is going.
Okay. Okay.
I
All right.
have
Your
to
next.
say, before we move on, the character to me looks like a mix of you and Olivia. If you put glasses on the character, I promise you that's Livy all day.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
I was really hard on that. Okay, your next scenario is: would you strike a deal with the Oblivion if it meant saving your family? And I'm gonna let
Yes.
AJ go first since he went last.
That's a tough one. Because I feel like whatever you strike, something that's either yourself or somebody along your family line is going to get screwed if you strike that deal. But I think I would ultimately still take that deal, considering the odds.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Katie, would you take the deal?
100%. And that's probably
immediately. Yes.
Yeah, with my whole chest. I'm taking that. I think definitely part of it is selfish because I know that it's probably not going to be the best idea. But like for me, weighing like family I know versus family I don't know. I'm picking my family. I would definitely strike the deal, I think.
Indy?
I said yes before, but I'm going to say it depends. It depends on the deal, and then it depends on what family members you're talking about. So, yeah, I would say it depends.
That's fair, because if it got anything to do with Olivia Letitia, I'm striking that deal.
Mm-hmm.
Striking that deal. Sam, maybe your audio is working now. Would you take the deal?
You don't even want to talk no more. Just give a thumbs up or a thumbs down.
Or you could put it in the comments. You could put it in the comments, Sam. All right. The last scenario. If you had to swear an oath to one faction, which would it be? So your options would be the Echelon Order or the Nocturna. If you had to swear an oath, who would you swear it to? And whoever wants to take that question first can take it.
I feel like I would go with the Echelon Order. And I say that because there's like structure, and I would feel like it wasn't everybody against themselves or everybody for themselves for the most part. And I get more of that vibe from Nocturna.
Okay.
But that's my personal opinion.
Indy?
I don't know. I kind of like the dark and mysterious, so I probably would go with the Nocturnal.
I think I know who AJ gonna pick, but who you going with, AJ?
I'd have to go with Nocturna. I have a thing for structure, but something about the Nocturna just seems a little bit more powerful, a little bit more unstable, which I like. So I'd probably strike a deal with Nocturna.
Okay. Hi, Sam. Welcome back. Can you hear us? All right, let's move on to the next section of tonight. It's going to be a Q&A. So I have a few questions to start, but I'll let you guys, if you want to go one at a time and ask some questions that you want to have me answer about the series, about the Echelon Order, anything you can think of. Who wants to go first?
Since you went into everybody else, like who they were representing, who in your life does Malik represent?
Honestly, I don't think Malik represents anyone in my life, which is very strange because usually, for the most part, every character that you've been introduced to in any of my work has been based on someone. Like, even if we go back to my original work, which is the Triangle series, those characters that I created were all based upon me and my exes and things of that nature. And then going into this series, Athena is me, Electra's my sister. You have Amara and Anastasia. Those are my younger sisters. Caesar is my father. Artemis is my mother. Alexander, everybody in there. Even Octavian is literally based off my childhood crush. I even told him that the character was based off of him too. He was cool with it. So, but Malik is one of the few characters that I've created that he's not representative of just any one particular person. I think he's kind of inspired by a lot of people, like just around me in general. I just wanted to create a character that was dark but had a story that people could resonate with because I always identify with the villain in the story. Like Voldemort, me and you was cool. Like you kill Harry's parents and that's not cool, but I can understand his backstory. And I wanted to create a character like that. Next question. You got a question, Sam?
We can't trust people like you.
You said what?
Voldemort? Nah. We can't trust people like you.
I'm a Slytherin, so you do what you do with that information, bro. AJ, you got any questions?
It's kind of like a follow-up question with Malik and the Oblivion, actually, like, because I notice when you create male characters, they have this sort of edge with that goes along with them. Is that more so what you're partial to when you look at fiction? Because, like, since you brought up Harry Potter, I think of Draco Malfoy, right? Like, we love to think of him as just the villain, but there's a twist with him. It's not just this hyper masculine, constantly being a dick to Harry. You know, there's a reason behind it.
I just think I'm gonna be honest with you. I just think that's just the type of people I'm attracted to. I like men and people around me who have more than just meets the eye. You know what I'm saying? Like even with all of you guys, like you guys are all more than what meets the eye. So when I create characters, I want to give them some type of depth to kind of showcase the different ranges somebody can feel, because I feel like even if you are a villain, you're not a villain 24/7, or you probably have a reason as to why you're the villain in someone's story, because somebody was probably a villain in your story, et cetera, et cetera. So I just try to give the characters a little bit more depth. Like if you've seen the originals, think Marcel Gerard. Malik is my Marcel. And Indy, if you ain't seen that show, I'm gonna need you to watch it because it's really good. Miss I Don't Like Fantasy. I promise you'll like that show.
What is it called?
The Originals.
I didn't hear you.
The Originals.
The Originals. Okay, let me write it down. Is it on Netflix?
Not no more. It used to be. I don't know where it's at. We gonna find it. We'll have a girls' night. Don't worry.
Okay, cool.
Okay. Oh, Indy, it's your turn for a question.
I really don't have any questions. Okay. I don't have any questions I don't have any questions right now.
Okay. I have a few questions that we have already arranged, so I'll start with them. So the first question is, what was my favorite moment from the first 3 chapters? My favorite moment so far has been the rooftop scene with Malik and Electra. I think so. I don't write just fantasy. I write romance, and so it was the first time I could actually start building the romantic interest and tension within this book. So that has been my favorite moment to create so far, because I feel like it was like a nice break, like a breath of fresh air, considering how dark the book is starting off to be. Um, So the next question was, how do you feel about Malik's offer from the Oblivion, and would you trust him? And all I'm gonna say is, you should never trust the Oblivion. Don't trust him. Yeah, don't. He got his reasons. Don't get me wrong. He has his reasons for doing the things that he's doing, but don't trust him.
Trust him, right?
Mhm. Um, a good question that we got was, do you think Electra can truly atone for her past, or will it haunt her forever? So I feel like that's a yes and no question. I think Electra, just like anyone who's ever done something egregious to their like people close to them or their family, right? Um, is there an echo or is it just me?
I can hear it too. I'm about to mute my thing.
Okay. So whenever I feel like we've all been in like situations in life where we made a decision that it affects so many people around you, and like eventually you can come to terms with what you did, but I don't think she'll ever forgive herself for what she did. So for those who don't know, in Key of the Ivy, when Electra's introduced, she's introduced as a villain. She's someone who's literally doing whatever she can to destroy the entire echelon order, despite the echelon order being her family. Her family runs it. Her father runs it. Her stepmother runs it, right? And she's making all of these decisions and harming people and killing people in the process of trying to bring the order down. And when she is doing it, she's doing it for her actual mother, only to find out that her mother is being controlled by the Oblivion and then has to watch her mother die. And in that same evening, her father is kidnapped by the Oblivion. So she's just going through a lot. So I don't think that she'll ever 100% forgive herself, but I do think that those around her can understand why she made the decision she's made when you actually see like the backstory of it all, if that makes sense. But I don't think she's gonna forgive herself.
I
And
actually agree with that.
you said what?
I said I agree with that. I didn't read the previous book, but just by what you're saying, I would agree that, you know, especially if you have that on your conscience. I don't
Yeah.
think.
And one thing I want to add to that is it like haunted Electra even like at the tail end of the last book. So I definitely don't think that she'll ever be able to move past it completely, kind of like what you were saying, Sherry. But I think that she may like outwardly come to terms with it, but she won't ever like inwardly come to terms with it.
I agree. Anybody have any other questions? If not, we're gonna move on. No?
I actually disagree. I think that you'll have to learn how to control it to control this power that's coming in.
Interesting point. That's an interesting point. Okay. Well, we're going to move on to the Flash Fiction Challenge. So, being that this is my fantasy series, My Little Baby, I have created a challenge for you guys. And I'm going to give you a few words, and you're going to create a 1 to 2 sentence story that would fit into the world of Blood and Oath. since half the people on here are authors, like it would be a very fun challenge. So your words are betrayal, fire, curse, immortal, and forbidden.
Can
And
you
I'm
say
gonna
this again?
yes. Betrayal, fire, curse, immortal, forbidden.
Betrayal, fire, curse, forbidden, and what else?
Immortal. So I'm gonna play some music in the background while I give you guys a little bit of time to come up with your mini stories.
I just want to make sure one more time. Can you repeat the words just one more time to make sure that I've got them?
Yes, the words are betrayal, fire, curse, immortal, and forbidden.
I put them in the chat too, just in case.
And sorry, this is our own
Thank you.
our
Mhm.
own interpretation that we're trying to build into this, right? Like just
Yes,
out
your
of thin air.
own.
Okay,
Yes, out of thin air.
got you.
All right, I'm gonna give you guys 60 more seconds. All right, are you guys ready? I'm going to start with Sam. He dropped his comment in our private chat, so this is his story. Remember, the words were betrayal, fire, curse, forbidden, and immortal. So Sam wrote, the seemingly immortal being rose from behind the roaring blazing fire, powered by the betrayal from another long past. See, I told you, Electra, forbidden means cursed. Okay, Sam. We see you. We see you, bro. I'm going to go with Andy next.
How did I know you were gonna call my name?
It's really giving like boy, girl, but you know.
I'm telling you, I don't know. I couldn't come up with anything. It's really hard for me to use my imagination with these types of stories. But I'm sure that as the time goes on and we play these kinds of games, my creativity will come through. But I honestly just couldn't think of anything.
Okay, that's fine. Katie.
Mine is not nearly as eloquent as Sam's, but mine was the immortal fire shining bright blue within the forbidden chambers beneath the mausoleum represents the curse that echoed through the ages, the curse originating from betrayal of one of the Echelon's own against themselves.
Okay.
Nice.
Oh, that was good.
Thank you.
You're a liar. Okay.
AJ, one of my favorite authors, my fellow fantasy author.
So I didn't know if I was supposed to use all the words, but I did my best.
That's fine with me, Club. What you got? What you got for me?
All right, so it's something quick, you know. He knew he couldn't betray the order. Everything he had built had led up to this moment. A betrayal now could curse the entire royal family and end everything in fire and darkness, just like before.
Okay.
Sound like the beginning of a story, huh? Like, you know.
It do. It sounds like a little song. I feel it. Okay, so I have a very special surprise. I am going to give you guys a reading snippet from one of the upcoming chapters. So you guys have not been able to see this, and I can't tell you when in the story this scene happens, but it does happen, and I feel like this will give you something to think about. So give me 1 second while I pull it up, and I will show you. I will read it to you. Okay. Sorry. All right. The steady rhythm of rain against the grand cathedral's stained glass windows did little to ease Athena's frayed nerves. She sat alone in the dimly lit war chamber of the Echelon Order, a vast circular room lined with ancient texts and relics of warriors past. The scent of burning incense lingered in the air, but it did nothing to quell the unease settling in her chest. A sharp knock at the chamber door shattered the silence. Before she could grant entry, the door swung open and Alexander stepped inside. His cloak dipped with rain, his dark hair clinging to his forehead. But it was his expression, hard, unreadable, that made her grip the armrest of her chair. Athena. His voice was low, strained. She straightened, schooling her features. You could have called. I told you I didn't want to be bothered. Alexander shut the door behind him, stepping closer. This couldn't wait. He hesitated for a fraction of a second before sliding a folded parchment onto the obsidian table between them. They've put a kill order on Electra. Athena's stomach clenched. She snatched up the parchment, scanning the contents. It was as if the words burned into her skin. Who? She demanded, though she already had suspicions. Alexander exhaled sharply. Varian, Aurora, but I think Octavian is behind it. Her head snapped up. No. Alexander's jaw tightened. You know it makes sense. He's always been weary of her, but after what happened, and after she awakened her full power, they don't see her as a disgrace anymore. They see her as a threat. Athena's hand trembled slightly as she set the parchment down. Electra had been controversial enough before, but now they feared her, and fear made men do dangerous things. You suspect, she said carefully, measuring her words, or you know. Alexander met her gaze with an intensity that sent a shiver down her spine. You don't want to believe it's him, but you need to open your eyes. Octavian has always been about the order above all else. If he thinks Electra is a danger to our legacy, he won't hesitate. Athena looked away, staring at the rain streaking down the window. Octavian, her oldest friend, the man that she might have ruled beside, the man she hadn't chosen or rejected. Her silence stretched between them, and Alexander took a step closer. Tell me you aren't still considering him. His voice was softer now, edged with something unreadable. Not after this. Athena closed her eyes for a brief moment before turning back to him. This isn't about that. He huffed a quiet laugh, but there was no humor in it. Humor in it. Isn't it? A sharp knock interrupted them, but neither of them moved. The weight of what he just said, what he'd implied, hung thick in the air. Athena exhaled, regaining her composure. Find out everything you can. If Octavian is behind this, I'll handle it. Alexander's expression darkened. And if he is? She didn't answer. She didn't have to. If Octavian had betrayed her, betrayed them, then there was no choice left to make. And Electra wasn't the only one they should be afraid of. That's it. That's all I got for y'all today. Now, I can't tell you when in the book that happened, But it happened. It's in there. I wrote it. It's right there. So I would like to ask one final question. And that final question is, what do you think will happen next? Sam, you can drop yours in the comments, and I will start with Indy. Indy?
I don't know. I just know that her and Malik are not on good terms right now. So, and I don't think they'll ever be. I don't know what's going to happen next. I'm kind of on the edge of my seat to even find out. Like, I was like scrolling to see if you gave us other chapters.
Not yet, but I will. Another chapter soon. Katie. Well, actually, real quick before Katie, Sam said people are going to question Malik's actions. And I'm sure somebody's going to try to be bold, but that didn't work out too well for the last guy who tried it. Katie, what do you think will happen next?
That's really tough, even as someone that like reads with a lot of like critical thinking to try and guess what the next step is. I feel like that raised more questions than it did answers, which I'm sure was the point. But yeah, that's really, really tough. I feel like Octavian has played such a big role before, even as like a support being having like such a big role. It's still not what I would expect. And so, yeah, I'm just wondering how all the dots are going to connect, especially with the knowledge I have from the last book. I'm just wondering how, and I feel like the dots are going to connect, and I'm like waiting, anxiously awaiting them to connect.
All right. And AJ.
I feel like we're gonna get more established with the characters in terms of like clearly saying, okay, this person is a villain, this person's a hero, this person's an anti-hero. I'm betting on Malik falling more into the anti-hero character. We see that the issues he has so far, but something tells me he's not exactly evil, but he's not good either. So anti-hero would be the best place to place him.
Okay. Well, if there are no other questions you guys might have or thought of, we're going to go ahead and end the night on that little cliffhanger, trying to figure out whether or not Octavian has lost his mind or not. So I just want to thank you guys so much. One, for taking the time to read what I've created, but also for taking the time to spend an hour of your night with me. It means so much to me, and I can't wait to share the next chapters with you guys. So I will see you guys soon. Good night.
Later. Good night.
Good night. Thank you for having us.
Yes.
Of course.